Good evening. Welcome, everyone. Our Planning Commission is now called to order. Thursday, March 13th, 2025. Time is 6:30. We'll have the prayer and the pledge of allegiance by Reverend Leonard.
Let us pray. Heavenly Father, once again, we come thanking you for our many, many blessings. Lord, we ask that you bless us individually and collectively. Bless this meeting, oh God. Father God, that we'll be about your business. Give us that oneness, oh God, that surpasses all understanding. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. At this time, we'll have the roll call.
Commissioner Charles Lennon. Commissioner Charles Lennon.
What was the name?
Commissioner Charles Lennon.
Charles.
Commissioner Andy Reid. Commissioner Deborah Marshall White. Commissioner Tim Blackwelder. Commissioner Trey Willis. Commissioner Steve Kaboka.
Present.
Chairman John Prayler.
Present. Thank you very much. And at this time, I'd like to welcome our new commissioner. At this time, would you like to say anything to the community? New commissioners?
Press the red button. Tell him that he doesn't know you have to press the red button.
It's an honor to serve the town.
You got to press the red button.
It's an honor to serve the town. And I see it as an opportunity to serve what the residents have expressed the way they want to see the town grow. And I appreciate the opportunity to help.
Yes, sir.
Yes, Bryce. So I'm a long-term citizen here, grew up in Hollywood, so it's an honor to serve as well, to ensure that our town meets everyone's needs and that we grow responsibly. So I'm here to be fair and impartial, to make sure everyone's needs are met, every resident of Hollywood.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Can you hear me? Good evening. My name is Trey Willis. Not a long-term resident of Hollywood. Been here about 10 years, but long-term, born and raised here in the Low Country. Pleasure to be here and to serve our community. Thank you for having me.
My name is Deborah Marshall White. I've lived in the area for about 20 years, and I thank you for the privilege of letting me represent you, of the residents of Hollywood, and I will do my best to keep our community a rural area.
Thank you. Welcome. At this time, have you had an opportunity? Well, there is now minutes at this time. Public comments. Those who have signed now, please, whenever you come to the mic, state your name before you begin to speak, and we ask that you turn off all electronic devices or put it on silence, please, out of respect for the meeting and for others that are in the audience. At this time, we're going to look at the old business, the preliminary plaque review, Phase 1, Longleaf Estate. We will turn it over to Mark at this time.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The item before you tonight is old business, and I will dispense with going over my staff report that I gave the last time. But the item before you this evening is the second technical review of a conforming preliminary subdivision plat for the creation of 132 parcels on approximately 100 acres of land. TMS number is 19100000082 and 19100000476. The site is zoned general commercial, which allows residential development to occur. I would ask the chairman to invite the applicant forward if they have any additional comments that they'd like to add from the first meeting. And then following that, I would ask the chairman to open the floor to any public comments on this item. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. And before we actually invite the applicants, are there any comments at this time from the audience? Public comments?
Yes, we have Caitlin Castle.
Please, come forward. Please take the mic. State your name, please.
Oh, there it goes. Okay. All right. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. My name is Kathleen Castle. I'm a resident here of Hollywood for about 10 years now. I live on Buckeye Road, which is adjacent to Nashville Road, Mr. Willis. I've been talking with the town of Hollywood now for several years, trying to make some progress. We have a lot of issues with the large trucks hauling at the sand mine. It's Dungannon Sand Mine, owned by Austin and Farrell. I've spoke with Mr. Austin several occasions. I've spoke with DHEC. I've spoke with the gentleman who issued their mining permit. At this point, the noise has become such an annoyance that we have a fellow neighbor who actually has PTSD from the military. It's now bothering him a lot. The dust is so bad that we can no longer be outside during normal business hours. There's a few of the trucks that do stop when they see me. I take a wheelbarrow and fill in the holes because I try to keep the noise down. Some of the guys do stop and apologize. They say they would never drive on that road if they didn't have to. I've taken videos probably for the last 8 years. I've got any, videos, people I've talked to, pictures of trucks. I recently had to call law enforcement. One of the drivers was yelling expletives at me while I was on my deck. So this is a huge problem. It's really changed our quality of life on Buckeye Road. It's a private road. There's, 6 or 8 houses. Lindy Lane as well gets affected. I've tried to amicably solve the problem with the company. The only thing we ask, I know it's a business and I know that they need to haul and that's just the way it is, but we also have to live there. And I've just asked that they grade the road and maybe water the road. That's the only thing. I know they have to do it. It's their job. We all understand that. The straw that broke the camel's back, for lack of better words, was they did grade the road about 3 years ago and shoved a large log through my privacy fence, and my dog got out and got killed. So there's zero respect for those of us who live on Buckeye. Like I said, over the years, I've taken a wheelbarrow and shovel and filled in the holes just to be able to live at my house. There's things fall off my walls. That's about it in a nutshell. Any videos, documentation, anything is more than available upon request. I didn't bring it because I didn't really know how this would work. But I've got videos over the years. I've talked to another council member years ago who's no longer here, I don't think. But anyway, that's about it. If anybody has any questions for me or... What's the name of the road again? Nashfield. And it is... So over the years, I have asked the town of Hollywood, Charleston County, Department of Transportation who owns that road and Mr. Farrell with Austin Farrell, who owns Dungannon Sand Mine, everyone says it's either tricky or weird or nobody knows. Sean, I don't remember his last name, from the town of Hollywood. He's a code enforcer. So he actually came up Buckeye Road a couple weeks ago. I was out in my yard, and I have spoken with Sean on several occasions. And he asked me if anyone had been hauling on my road, which is Buckeye. And I said, well, you're on the wrong road. It's the next road over. So he went up the road. He came back down. And I stopped him. I said, hey, I've talked to you several times. What brings you here? And he said, I was just making sure they were watering the road. And I said, well, they never water the road. And he said, yes, they do. And I said, no, they don't. I water the road in front of my house. And we kind of went back and forth. He stated that they do water the road, and that's simply not true. I live there, and so do a lot of other people. Anything that gets done to that road, I generally do it myself. But that's about it. Well, we had actually another neighbor of mine had came to visit with the town council. We didn't really know who to go to next because a news agency's been out, et cetera, et cetera. So they suggested that we come to this meeting. We don't even know what to do. I mean, I can't sell my house because nobody would buy it. It decreases the property value immensely. I mean, nobody would buy it. My neighbor actually has called the fire department before because he thought my house was on fire, but it was the dust coming over my house. So it's kind of the gist of it. So maybe I'm in the wrong place at the wrong time. I don't know.
Well, let me ask you a question. Is there any signs that are out there on your road?
Say that again, I'm sorry.
Are there any signs?
Signs?
Road signs, slow down.
No, this is a dirt road that goes up to the mine. There's a stop sign at the end of it. There's not even a speed limit sign. I mean, it's just like a generic dirt road. It goes to Lindy Lane, and then it goes to the sand mine. And that's kind of it. It's very limited back there. Mr. Willis can fill you in on the road. Yeah.
What's your name again?
My name's Kathleen. You've actually been to my house before. Yeah. I live on that first the corner there.
Yeah, I'm familiar. I actually live down Nashville. This is correct. It's been a major issue for us that lives down there. I live kind of off the road. I can't imagine living where you live because it is terrible. To their defense, unfortunately, they have started watering that road in the mornings to keep the dust down. I've also talked with Mr. Austin about maintaining the road. It's just something he refuses to do, and it's sad. I'm not even sure what we can do.
If they water the road, they must water it at like 4 or 5 because I literally.
When I leave, it's already been watered.
And see that, I mean, at that time the dews fell, it's already damp, but within an hour or two, like, you can't see, you can't even see.
One time in the morning, and they saturate it pretty good. But I've actually been maintaining that road with my little farm tractor.
Yeah, well, thank you for that. I finally had to quit filling in the holes. My back wouldn't do it anymore, but I appreciate you doing that. But, even DHEC told me, like, they don't have to. They're supposed to maintain the entrance to the mine, but the tricky part is the entrance to the mine is through that gate way back there where they're mining. It's not the entrance to the mine. So Miss Margaret's here tonight. She's actually had a lot of damage to her property. So I'm going to wrap mine up unless anybody has any more questions. I don't want to take too much time. Sir?
Sir, excuse me. Did you sign up? Did you sign up to make up? Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Yes, thank you all for your time.
Miss Margaret?
Good evening. My name is Margaret McCall, and I live on 5470 Nashville Road. This is where I was born and raised at. And about a couple months ago, say about 2 or 3 months ago, I was sick. I was struggling, cancer, in and out of the hospital. And my fiance said, I hate to tell you something. I said, what? He said, I had to go back there and find out about your fence. So I built a fence around my house, an iron fence, brick wall fence. And at the time, I got approved. I came and talked to the planning board in Hollywood when I built the fence, and they told me, said, the guy who was over the planning board at the time, he told me, he said, I've been by your house. And he said, I'm surprised. He said, most people be putting iron fence and stuff like that around their house. He said, I really is impressed by your fence. He said, I don't know why someone would disapprove of you having a fence like that. But anyhow, just like I said, 3 months ago, those trucks, those same trucks, goes up and down that road. They knocked down the pillar of my fence and my iron fence. And my fiance went back there to talk to the guy who was back there working and told him, say, did you know you knocked down a pillar part of the fence? And he said, yes. And he said, could you give me the number of the person who over this, or someone that I can talk to about the fence? And he said, they know they knocked down your fence. So he said, well, please tell them to contact me. And he gave him the number and everything. And now it's going in 4 months. And no one came and said nothing or called me and said nothing about the fence. The fence is, part of the fence is still down. And I don't know what to do about it.
I have a question. What time do the trucks start and what time they finish?
Okay, they start sometime, at least by 6 o'clock, 5:30 or 6 o'clock in the morning. And through the day, they slow down now. Sometimes it'd be like 20 or 30 something trucks. Fast as one come, the other one be right behind each other. They'd be going through there. And sometimes they'd be going really, really fast. Too fast for condition to be in a dirt road.
And what time do they stop in the evening?
They normally stop about 4 o'clock. Now, this afternoon, when we were coming here, there was a truck back there who was coming out of there. But that's unusual. They usually stop about 4 o'clock, I would say. And the guy, Randy, and this other guy, he's I can't even remember the man's name. He's a judge. He's a real estate judge. And I talked to him when I first moved back there. Mind you, I was born and raised back there, but I moved away. And then I decided to build my dream house. So I moved back there to build my dream house. And before I even built the house, he used to call me like every week, asking me if I want to sell this property, because he would like to have the property. I didn't know he was a real estate person until after I moved back there. But he sells and buys real estate. And he been to my door, ringing my doorbell, when I first started this fence. And when I first started this fence, he came, just like I said, he rang my doorbell, and he said, Miss McCall. I said, yeah. He said, I want to tell you something. He said, you don't need to build this fence. And I said, why not? He said, because you need to talk to me first before you build this fence. I said, huh? I said, do you know this fence is on my property? He said, no matter, you need to talk to me. You need to talk to me. And I told him, I said, you know what you need to do? I said, you need to get to stepping because you see all of those signs saying no trespass? I said, you don't tell me what to do on my property. I said, half of that road, what we're talking about right now, part of that road is my road. It's on my property. But I try to be a nice person. I went to the judge when I first moved. I moved back about 10, 11 years ago. I moved back there again. But I was back there all my life. Because just like I said, I'm born and raised, and my mom was living back there. So I used to go back and forth. So I told him, I said, nope, you're not going to do that to me. So he didn't like the way I talked to him. And I told him, you need to get the stepping off of my property.
Okay. All right, thank you very much.
Okay.
Are you willing to speak to me after the meeting?
Yeah,
I'll give you two options of what to do.
I'll
Okay?
speak to you. I
Yes.
know you.
Thank you.
You know me too, but I guess
All right.
over the years, I've been gone for over 20-something years.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you very much.
Okay.
I'll give you two options. Excuse me, when you come up to the podium and speak, we will have to limit your time to 3 minutes. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman?
Mark, would you continue? Is there any other comments from the audience?
Yes, Ms. Jessica Gatson.
Okay, never mind.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Jessica Gatson. I lived here all my life, 74 years, matter of fact. And I only have a very short comment. I have a very short comment. It's just for the panel. When you speak to us as the audience, I will appreciate very much if everyone will speak into your mic because we are here to know what you guys are saying. Amen? That's all I have to say. So that's short, wasn't it?
Thank you very much.
Because I don't have a hearing problem, but I guess I'm bad.
Yeah, the acoustic in here is pretty bad.
Mr. Chairman, I had the unfortunate circumstance of living on a dirt road at the end of a mine about 20 years ago, 15 years ago. And I found a product that I spread on the road in front of my house that kept the dust down. It's a spray-on adhesive that you spray on the road, and it's got a very memorable name. The name of the material is called Gorilla Snot. And I tell you, you spray this stuff on the road, and your dust worries are gone. My house was literally 6 feet off the edge of the road, and I couldn't open the windows to my living room during daytime hours. So I went and I talked to a person at the county, and I said, what do you guys use to keep dust on roads down? And he said, well, we use a spray-on adhesive. I can't think of the name of it right now. So I looked it up. And it's called Gorilla Snot, and you have to apply it like once every 3 or 4 weeks. But if you want to cut the dust down in front of your house, I swear by the product. I should be a spokesman for the company. You can get it at Farm Supply, and it's not terribly expensive, and you put it in one of those sprayers that you kind of pump, one of those plastic sprayers that you pump, and you go out and you spray the road. And you want to do it before the first truck comes or after the last truck leaves, because if they come over it while it's wet, all the adhesive sticks to their tires and creates a real mess in front of your house. I learned that the hard way. But yeah, that's a solution. And the other thing is there are different environmental agencies in the state that are meant to protect the pollution of our air, particulates. And that organization is Department of Health and Environmental Control, DHEC. And if you go to DHEC's website, they actually have a page there that actually suggests the use of adhesive spray for roads. So while they may not be terribly responsive to your particular needs, they've at least given you some ammunition to actually maybe control the dust on your own. Yeah, I know.
Mark, will you continue with the preliminary plaque review, please?
I would like to invite the applicant up to answer any questions that the commission might have at this point.
Yes.
Good evening, Adam Tennant with Pulte. Thanks for having us this evening here with the consulting team. Really, as the agenda states, we're here for old business from our last meeting. You were nice enough to grant us our approval for our top parcel. We appreciated the support. We're now here for the bottom parcel of Longleaf. Really didn't plan much of a presentation. As staff alluded to, we went through the staff report at the last meeting. I will tell you, as you take a read through the staff report, one thing that to me is pretty clear is it's a pretty narrow scope. I mean, we're here just to establish a plat map that complies with our existing zoning. That's really the purview of tonight's meeting. This isn't a rezoning application of any sort. It's just a plat map. It's really a technical exercise. And the way I look at the staff report is, what's before you tonight is we either meet your town standards or we don't with that said plat map. So we're hopeful to get the support, appreciate the staff report. Having gone through the work, the conclusion of the staff report is that we do in fact meet those town standards. When I came to you at our last meeting and I asked if there were any technical issues with our plat, as for anything to work on to go forward, there were really nothing plat related to work on. So I'm really hopeful that we can get your support this evening. I would just also add that I completely recognize that there's going to be questions. We'll be working with staff as we go forward. Should we get your approval? We'll be going through more steps with your staff, and we look forward to going through those steps in more detail. For tonight, I just want to let you know any questions that you have as we go through the process. I'm always welcome to meet, always welcome to talk on a lot of those details that we get a little more into the devils and the details kind of development work. But once again, we're here for the plat map and hopeful to get your support as we did for your top parcel, for our top parcel at the last meeting. And that's really all I had to say. But I'm happy to answer questions.
Thank you. Mark, we are supposed to vote on this tonight, or?
Mr. Chairman, a little housekeeping business first. Before we start deliberating, my recommendation is that at this point you now open it to public comment specifically for this project. At the end of that, close public comment, and then I'd be glad to answer any questions that the commission might have at that time. But the proper order is we now open it to public comment on this specific item.
Okay, thank you. Are there any comments into reference to what the gentleman just spoke about?
No comments tonight? Oh, sorry.
Is the no comment on the agenda, is that reference to what's in the community, or that's in reference to what just was presented?
I'm going to
clarification.
At the expense of repeating myself, the proper way this is done is you introduce the project, staff provides a staff report, applicant provides a presentation to the commission. The commission then and at that point you open it. They've heard my staff report, they've heard the applicant's report. They get up and make comments. If you would prefer to delay public comments until after we've deliberated it, I feel that you haven't had the value of their comments before you deliberated. So that's, I mean, I've been doing this long enough to tell you that I've never seen it where the public comments after the planning commission deliberates, because once you deliberate, you're usually ready to make a motion. The proper method for public participation is for the commission to hear that public participation before you start to deliberate on an approval of a project.
I think that seemed to make.
So, if any, and people don't have to sign up to provide public comment at this. For the first item, on the agenda, where they provide public comment on any item not on the agenda, we ask that they sign up for that. But when a project comes forward and they've heard the staff reports and the presentation, the public has the right to provide 3 minutes of comments to the planning commission before you start your deliberation.
And that's the appropriate step. Are there any comments from the community? Yes, please. And state your name.
Hi, good evening. My name is Emma Berry, and I am here with the Coastal Conservation League. I did not prepare comments for Longleaf, as I was not aware that we would have an opportunity to comment because it's not on the agenda. The only thing on the agenda says that we can't comment on anything on the agenda. But I think to properly hear from the community about this project, we need to be given more information on what the project is. At the moment, we just have the information that's on the agenda, but I would like to know what the minimum lot sizes are going to be for this proposed subdivision, and how many of them will be on septic, how many will be on sewer. I understand there's not any more sewer taps for the town of Hollywood at the moment, but perhaps there were some already promised in this development since it's been planned for a while. But I would hope, and for the community, I would imagine agrees with me, I'm not sure, but to be able to see a little bit more information before we can really comment on it. So, thank you very much.
Are there any more comments?
Jacqueline Hayward. I'm still a little confused. Last month, I got a letter because I own property adjacent to this proposal, and that letter indicated a public hearing on a zoning change request. I got to the public hearing, and apparently it was on another matter. And now I'm here, and I'm hearing about a proposal for a plat review. Will you please kindly let us know what's going on? There are 2 tracks now, apparently, phase 1 and phase 2. Our letter that we got in the mail indicating the request for a zoning change, and so is the zoning change not taking place?
Mark, would you address that?
Just a little
please?
confused about your process. And you talked about hearing from the public after council elaborate, but we haven't heard from the presenter what is exactly planned, as the questions that were asked earlier. So we're a little confused in the public. Maybe you all have the answers, but we are very confused about what is being presented on Longleaf.
Thank you.
I'd be glad to. There are 2 things occurring. The letter that you received was a letter for a portion of Longleaf that is being rezoned. That rezoning has received a recommendation from this body, and it is going to the town council at their next meeting. They will vote on the rezoning at their next meeting. The item before the commission this evening is not the rezoning. The applicant has decided that while the rezoning is going forward, that they would produce a subdivision plat that conforms to today's zoning, not what they're asking for in the future, but today's zoning. So the implication here is, and I'm sure you all want me to just speak freely here, is that my read on this is that the applicant is possibly a little nervous about the rezoning being approved at town council. That's fair to say. So what they've done is they're going to let the rezone proceed on its own track and see if that gets approved by the town council at their next meeting, okay? That's that. This is a preliminary plat. A preliminary plat does not require a public hearing. Rezonings do require public hearings by state law. The plat before the commission this evening is the second time this commission has heard this item. At the last meeting, we articulated in great detail the number of lots, how many lots were going to be on sewer, how many lots were going to be on septic, and we went through a fairly extensive staff report outlining for the community and for the commission exactly what was being proposed at that last meeting. The commission, fair to say, had some heartburn and asked the applicant to return at this meeting after they have been able to do some of their own due diligence, after they've been able to sort of think about this a little longer. That's where we are this evening. And if the chair would prefer that I read the previous staff report from the last meeting so the folks that weren't at the last meeting can hear it again, I am more than happy to do that to satisfy that need. But this is a continuation of that item from the previous meeting. Whatever the commission's wishes are, I'd be glad to do whatever you want me to do. Okay?
So under the preliminary plat review, there an opportunity for the commissioners to vote.
I'm sorry.
Preliminary plat review is only a review, and no decisions are to be made.
I'm not understanding. Can you help me?
On the preliminary plat review,
Yes.
we're not supposed to be voting, correct? Only review from the litigants, correct?
No, you are being asked to make a decision on the preliminary plat this evening.
Okay.
Okay? You have to make a decision tonight, yes or no. If you don't make a decision, state law says that that the project gets automatically approved. There's a state law that basically tells communities that they can't just postpone approving projects. They can't just, I call it, kick the can down the road. Can't kick the can down the road. The law, when this application came to us, was that we have to approve it within 60 days. We are approaching that 60-day deadline, and if you don't approve it tonight, and you don't want to approve it tonight, you have two options. One, you hold another special meeting before the deadline, or two, you take no action and the project is automatically approved by state law. Okay?
We can also not approve it.
You can also not approve it. Yes?
The other option by law is that we can ask the developer via mutual agreement with this board to extend that timeline.
That's correct. You can ask the applicant to extend the deadline, but I will also, I wanted to add one more thing. To make matters worse, The state of South Carolina has amended that 60-day timeline now to 45 days. They just did that in their session last week. So now we're only going to have 45 days to review things. So
I have some questions. I'm new to the commission, so what was said was this.
Excuse me, please. Mark, did you finish?
One last thing.
Go ahead.
If you decide, if this commission decides to deny the subdivision plat, you have to provide technical reasons, lot sizes, location, curb radius, the things that are the technical engineering standards on a plat. You can't just sort of out of hand just say we deny it and not give the applicant any reason for it. By state law, you have to come up with some findings as to the reason it was denied. Now, typically, subdivision plats that are technical like this generally don't receive a lot of this kind of scrutiny, I would say. And the reason is, and I believe the reason this one is because this one started with a rezone, which proposed several more units than is being proposed on this plat. So by approving this plat, you're only giving them what the current zoning allows them to do. You're not giving them any special variances or any special compensatory actions to it. It's just what they're allowed to do on the parcel.
Okay. Go ahead, sir.
Okay, I'm new to the commission, so I have a couple questions. I was at the previous planning and zoning meeting. Now it's 2 phases. From what I heard, it was 1. And you said that the rezoning was approved and recommended to council. Now it was continuance. I don't recall a continuance being said at that meeting. So my question is, you said a detailed report on how much would be sewer, how much would be septic. We have no more sewer connections left in the town of Hollywood. And maybe you can clarify, the current ordinance said you can't have a subdivision with engineered septic systems. So where are we with this project, being that we have no more sewer connections, and our ordinance do not allow engineered septic system for a subdivision?
I'll take that question. Might need staff to help me out a little bit. So just to take a step back, at our last meeting, we got approval for the top parcel for 142 lots. So that was approved.
Which TMS number is the top? You're calling the top parcel.
I don't.
This showing 100 acres, but 2 different TMS numbers, so we can't differentiate between the 2.
My name is Morgan Held. I'm a civil engineer for Seaman Whiteside. The top parcel has about 25 TMS numbers. So what we're voting on tonight is the 2 TMS numbers of the 082 and then the 476. So those two TMS numbers make up phase 1, and then we already approved last meeting the 20 TMS numbers at the top, the rezoning, or the approval for the plat for those. So there was no rezoning in this situation.
So phase 1 is what now? Is that what you approved?
Phase 1 is what we're talking about tonight.
Okay, what was phase 2? How many lots are in phase 2?
What was already approved is 142 lots. Yes, at phase 2. What's before you tonight is a parcel map for 132 lots. Just for a correction also, the approval, and staff can correct me if I'm wrong, the approval that we were given for the top parcel, that stays at the Planning Commission. It's not a recommendation to the council. It's an approval by the Planning Commission. And what we're asking for you tonight is an approval for the second phase also. And I understand the confusion on the rezoning. I get that. Just so we're clear, that rezoning is scheduled for the future. this isn't about the rezoning. This is just a plat for the existing zoning on the site. One last thing, there are some sewer taps available. So on this bottom parcel of the 132 lots, we are proposing 61 with sewer and 71 with septic. And as far as septic is concerned, we will work on that with the staff as we go forward. But right now, this is about the parcel map. We'll figure out the septic. We will be consistent with town policy, and we will be consistent with state policy.
Okay, I have one more question, because I was at that meeting. It was conditional approval based on public opinion by the former planner, Roy DeHaven. Was that public hearing had prior to the zoning approval?
I'm sorry, could you repeat that?
I heard what was read. I was at that meeting. It's prior to me becoming a commissioner. Roy DeHaven gave a conditional approval. Is that correct? The former town planner for the town of Hollywood. And one of those conditions was it has to have a public hearing. And if the overwhelming public opinion was that they didn't want it, it was not to be approved. Maybe I'm wrong, but I know that's what I heard.
I'm not so certain that was our item. Staff, I'll defer to you.
Can we go back to the minutes of that meeting? Do you have that?
The minutes of what meeting, Commissioner? The meetings of specifically what meeting?
The meeting, the last month meeting with the planning and zoning pertaining to this project, Longleaf. Roy DeHaven, you read it off, if I'm correct. He had certain provisional conditions for the approval of the rezoning. It was supposed to be a public hearing, and based on the public comments, it was a conditional approval. Did the public hearing happen?
I'm going to raise my hand and tell you that you've just confused the daylights out of me. Roy DeHaven hasn't worked for the town of Hollywood since 2023.
Well, apparently, from what I understand from that meeting, this conditional approval started with him for this project. Is that not correct? But the minutes will definitely reflect
I have
facts.
knowledge of that. Amen.
Commissioner, I think how I took the last meeting, and staff, I don't know if staff's in agreement, is we received one approval and one continuance. We're here for the continuance. I don't believe there was a conditional approval attached to it.
All right, go ahead, sir.
I have, first off, my hearing aid's busted. I can't hear. All right, so bear with me. Just a point of clarification, because last month we approved phase 2 for 142 units, correct?
Correct.
Is it your intention to bring that forward to the council, or is still up in the air?
It's not required.
It's not required. So you don't need to go to the council if you don't change the zoning.
Correct.
Just a point of clarification.
Correct.
Okay. That just a point of clarification. Okay.
Thank you very much. Mark. Let's see this thing. You can't open this to the community. Not right now. Mark, would you state exactly what we're supposed to be voting on so we can be able to move on? So the commissioner can make a decision?
I have some questions as well.
Go ahead.
Closing the session, the
It's
question.
not closed. It's Mark needs to state what we need to vote on so we can make a decision.
I'm sorry, this is like an echo chamber. Chairman, could you, I'm going to go stand next to you. This is like an echo chamber.
It is terrible. Okay. Would you state exactly what we're supposed to be voting on so we can move on?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. And we'll take, go ahead, state your question, sir.
I'm sorry, you with Pulte Homes? What's your name again? Adam. Trey Willis here. A couple of questions. I'm new to the commission, so what got approved the last time, I'm not up to speed on. So So, phase 2 is 142 lots?
Correct.
Phase 1 is 132 lots?
Correct.
Phase 1, you got 61 sewer, 71 septic. What's that split for phase 2?
On phase 2, they are all on septic.
They're all on septic. So, our town has an ordinance for no engineered septic systems. And we do have a waiver in there for individuals that are trying to build a house in their lot. But there is no provision for a developer developing, 142 plus 71 lots. I'm not sure if you have engineered septic systems, if you've gone through and done the soil classifications and all that stuff, or not. My other concern is, it's a total of 274 lots, right, amongst both of your phases. If each dwelling has 2 cars, that's 548 cars coming back on the 162. You have no egress or ingress coming off of 162, and I'm pretty sure that's probably 55 miles an hour or somewhere close to it in that area. Do you have any plans to put in turning lanes there?
So, a couple things. One, just real quick, we're just talking about a parcel map tonight.
I don't disagree with you.
Yeah,
This is my question.
I'm still going to answer your question, because this came up at the last meeting, so fair enough. So, first of all, we have egress, ingress to both 162 and 165. So we have.
Turning lanes? I don't see that reflected on this.
Excuse me, sir. I'll get to the turn lanes. 162 and 165, we have access to both. Department of Transportation has already approved traffic plan that showed we will be adding westbound and eastbound turn lanes on 162. So that has already been approved and gone through the Department of Transportation. So we will be adding those lanes on 162 at the time, I think it's the 205th building permit.
Do we have copies of that?
Staff does.
Can the commission get a copy of that?
And if I can just ask one other thing, we're not asking to rezone this bottom parcel. What we're talking about tonight is just a parcel map consistent with the existing zoning. We're not changing anything. We're just asking, that staff has made the findings that we're consistent with town policy, and our hope is that you're in agreement with the staff that it meets town policy. But we are not rezoning what's before you tonight. It is just a parcel map.
I understand that. This isn't even the proper board for zoning. This is just a planning commission. When it comes to the streets in here, the planner gave some really good details as far as street widths and whatnot. Are these curb and gutter roll curb? What are we doing inside that?
Yeah, so we have 10-foot lanes and then 24-inch roll curb on both sides.
Is that center line to front of curb or back of curb?
So that's your center line to your edge of pavement, and then we have 2 feet
In
more
addition
from
to
your
2
edge of pavement to your curb.
Sidewalks behind the curb?
So this is, we have a 52-foot right-of-way. We have a verge where we'll add additional street trees in there, and then we'll also have the sidewalk on the back of that.
So is that sidewalk butting up against the back of the curb?
No,
Is it grass?
it is, there's a 6-foot grass verge
And then
between
a
the two.
4 or 5 foot sidewalk?
Yeah, 5-foot sidewalk, and then another 2-foot verge outside of that.
Again, we have a provision for workforce housing. I know you guys have several options of doing that. What's your plan for that?
Yeah, I think that's something we'll work with staff. And we discussed this at the last meeting also, that there's good flexibility town policy. There's the ability to build. There's also ability to pay a fee. So that's something that we'll work on should we get approval tonight.
Well, these are all things I'd like to know prior to voting on this.
It's, with all due respect, we're talking about the parcel map. I can just, I'm sorry, we are talking about the parcel map, but I will tell you, we have talked about paying a fee. That is something we have discussed in the past.
What is that? Could you help us out with that?
The council has approved a number in their fee schedule that if somebody is developing over 32 lots, then that applicant will pay the town an in lieu fee for every house. I'm sorry, to determining we determine the number of homes that would be affordable, and if the applicant decides they don't want to build the affordable, they will pay the town a hefty fee in return for that.
What is this is not outlined?
It isn't outlined in the code because it's a separate code ordinance, and the ordinance is what they call the fee schedule that is adopted by the town council. And at this time, I believe I'm not even going to guess. I'm not even going to try to guess for you, but there is a fee established for the provision of workforce housing.
I'd like to know what that fee is.
Yeah, we'll get it for you.
That's part of the reason we haven't made a decision, right? Those are discussions that we need to have. That's part of the reason. We do know we need to meet town policy, so.
Thank you for allowing us to have the discussion. The fee in lieu, I'm not a big fan of. I just go ahead and tell everybody that because it doesn't do anything to help us bring in workforce housing. If you can pay $100,000 or whatever the fee is, and you still build your houses, that don't really help the people in this community with workforce housing.
Yeah, and it's a valid point. I think we've heard kind of pros and cons to that, but I think that's a good point. And I think one of the things that I heard loud and clear during one of our previous hearings is a range of housing prices, a range of housing product available. And I think what we have now, putting everything together, we've got the 30,000 square foot lots that were approved before. Now we're talking about lot sizes. I think stated in the staff report between 10,000 and 23,000, averaging 13,000. And so we've created that range of product. Adding workforce housing would be another part of that range. With that, we've heard concerns with workforce housing from past speakers. So that's something, once again, that we would like to talk about staff as we work forward. So, but your point is well taken.
So in these preliminary discussions you've had, where are you guys at on that now, as far as doing a mixed-use development?
Honestly, with the parcel map, with the plan before you, we haven't had any discussions with staff on this topic. But we know our obligations, and we know we need to make town policy.
I have another question.
I have a couple clarifications. The engineer, did you look at the local fire codes, and does this plan meet local fire codes?
Yes.
All right. It's my understanding, I may be wrong, but it's my understanding that you have to have 2 entrances. Now, I understand you have an entrance on 165 and 162. But currently, when you start phase 1, when do you project that you'll have that second entrance done? I assume it's going to be a gravel road out to 162.
So we
165.
We need one entrance for fire, but we will have our second entrance when we do phase 2.
Okay, and
When we
do
design
you
our
have any
homes.
idea when that will be completed?
That will be probably a year after phase 1 is designed and constructed.
Okay, and then just simple thing. You said eastbound and westbound. Do you mean a right turn lane and a left turn lane?
Yes.
That's common,
Yes.
so everybody understands. And do you have any idea when you would put that in?
For the 205th lot. So DOT, our traffic analysis that's approved by South Carolina Department of Transportation, they went through about all of the lots that we have in our development, and they told us that the 205th lot, we need to have those turn lanes complete.
Okay, yeah, and the reason why I asked that question, we had a public hearing here last Thursday, and there was a very big concern from the community of being able to turn on the road and all that. So that's being addressed, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
They will not give us permits until
Yeah.
We can't start construction.
Yeah, so basically, you're probably figuring before the first house is moved into, those turn lanes will be in?
The turn lanes will be permitted, they'll be ready to maybe start construction at that point. So it will all time out to be around that 205th lot.
You're saying by the time the 250th lot is, that lot is sold and moved in?
Yeah, I think it's building permit. I'm not positive, but I believe that's what the trigger is.
When the 205th building permit is issued or CO is issued?
Issued.
I'm sorry?
I believe it's issued, when the building permit is issued.
Okay. Because what I would not like is you have phase one with 300 cars with no way of turning in or out of the subdivision. Because you'll still be under your 200 block, whether you do phase one first or phase two first, you'll still be under that threshold. So, and to be honest with you, I'd really like to see those turn lanes on this preliminary plat coming off of Highway 162.
I have one more concern, a question. Of the 100 acres that's being proposed here, 99.7 is zoned general commercial. So if we approve this plat, what assurances we have? You're saying residential lots, but you can do general commercial. Is that correct?
So we have that one parcel, I think it's 1.78 acres. We're actually just using that as a property buffer. There are no lots that we're subdividing off of that parcel.
Well, this says 82 is 99.7 acres and is zoned general commercial.
Correct. So everything we're subdividing is off the general commercial parcel. But this phase one includes the TMS number 476, which is zoned rural agriculture. We are not developing anything on that. We are using it as a property buffer.
Okay, I understand that. My question is the 99.7 acres, that's general commercial. If we approve this preliminary plat, it's still zoned general commercial. That's my concern. You're saying it's residential, but you can actually put commercial use there.
The Town of Hollywood's code says that there can be residential on general commercial. So they have different setbacks and different lot sizes for general commercial versus rural agriculture versus residential one. Like, they all have different setback requirements, but you can put residential on general commercial.
The reason I raised the question, you said you got approval on the first one to get rezoned, so it will be residential, but you're not asking the general commercial to be rezoned to make sure it's residential.
It doesn't need to be rezoned.
Okay. Okay. You answered my question.
It can be subdivided as is.
Okay.
On what we have shown.
Okay. Thank you.
That general commercial, you have any plans moving forward of making that like a strip mall or anything, or will that be a permanent buffer?
The rural agriculture piece,
The general commercial that's adjacent to 165.
the 99.7 acres we're talking about,
It says 36.9 acres, right here, zoning, general commercial, the document I'm looking at. And then it's POA 2, and then you have POA 1, that's 7.22 acres.
so you're talking about from our plat that we are trying to establish here, if we're going to build anything in that further.
Correct.
No, we're going to use that as active open space.
So this buffer up against 162, will that be, what's your plan with that buffer, I guess?
We will use,
I
most
kind of
likely
appreciate
keep it
that.
undisturbed. We will probably add some shrubs, just dense it up
Yeah.
to give that foliage buffer between 162 and the property.
And the same thing with POA 1?
I don't have it in front of me, but yes, most likely.
It's to the right of the entrance, 7.2
Yes.
acres, to the right of the entrance.
I have another technical question on the pump station. I went and walked that property, and it appeared that there were some natural drainage ditches right where the placement of the property is. Would you be open, and if that's the case, would you be open to move it 10 feet, 20 feet?
Yeah, so right now that pump station is set off. There's an existing drainage ditch there. We are, So there's an existing drainage ditch. We are keeping that active, functioning as is. We're not touching that. The pump station is offset of that and also still maintains the property buffer that's required for the general commercial and rural agriculture. So the ditch will still be there and the pump station will be offset from that.
I have a question. Well, comment, really. Want to apologize because I wasn't here at the last meeting. And what I want to apologize to the resident here tonight because I was absent at the last meeting due to some surgery. But one of the things that we need to be mindful of, represent the resident here of Hollywood. And we believe in growing, but smart growth. And we have a major problem because we don't have sewer taps. And we want to progress, not regress, because back in '85, we had a problem with sewer. And we got sewer, but we don't have enough tap. And I think this is one of the reasons why we issue a moratorium on the growth development here in Hollywood. And I think that the 142 lots that you got approved, it's gone. But at the same time, we don't need to be doing anything in terms of developing until we do something with our sewer and our infrastructure, because all that traffic is still being dumped on 162 and 165. And there's a problem already. I understand that you want to get this developed, but the resident here in Hollywood having problem already. And we got to make sure that we do what's best for them. Most of you guys don't live here. You develop our town and you move on. And that's your job. I understand that. But at the same time, the commissioners here, we got to do what's best for the residents in the town of Hollywood. That's my comment.
I'm sorry, go ahead. Is that it? No, completely understand. And I think that's why what we're trying to say in our simplest way is what's before you tonight and what you graciously approved the last time, we're just meeting the town policies. That's all we're doing. We're not asking for any variances. We're not asking for any special treatment. It is just meeting the city policy. The point on the infrastructure, great point. When we submit our plans, it goes through a technical review with your own staff. So that happens. We've consulted with the Department of Transportation for their recommendations. So we do, our plans do get circulated for comment, but understand the sensitivity of the growth. And I get that. And that's, once again, while we're here, so we're just saying, we're just working within your own zoning, just a plat map within the existing zoning of the town of Hollywood. That's it.
Since the town does not have any more taps, have you been in touch with DHEC for the additional septic tank that is needed to accommodate the other houses that you're planning on building?
Yeah, we'll be coordinating with them and the town.
You said you will be? You have not contacted them or reached them out to?
We haven't. I mean, we don't have an approval. We don't have anything right now. So we're doing. We will study it. We will have to do what's required, whether it's engineered, whether it's traditional. I mean, right now, we know we need to meet what the town policy is as we sit here today, and that's our charge.
Okay, thank you.
What's your plan if all these tests come back and you require to put the engineering acceptance?
I don't have a timing for that.
I'm sorry?
I don't have timing for when the studies are going to be done. You're asking when we're going to
I'm saying
coordinate?
if they come back, that are pretty much, you won't be able to build on those lots that require engineering acceptance. So I'm asking, what's your contingency plan? I'm sure you have a plan.
Yeah, we'll have to work on that. It's, whether it's traditional or engineered, there's been talk from past meetings about using engineered. There's been talk about using traditional. We're gonna have to solve that. There's no doubt about it. But that is something we're gonna have to solve. First and foremost, we want to make sure we have a parcel map that we can work with, and then we're gonna have to solve it.
Okay, thank you very much. Any more questions from the commission?
If I could just ask staff to establish what they're voting on tonight.
Before you this evening is the approval or denial of a tract map. Simple, nothing else. And I realize that I have some new commissioners with me this evening, and as part of becoming a planning commissioner in the state of South Carolina, you're going to be required to take at least 6 hours of continuing education courses, and I suspect you'll probably learn more about the ups and downs of tract maps and zone changes and all those sorts of things, and I realize you don't. So you understand what a tract map is.
We all own property, man.
It's a simple map.
We all own property. We understand.
In addition to the entitlements that the town provides, you're aware that the entitlements will have to be gotten from stormwater people, the state highway folks, DHEC on septic tanks, U.S. Fish and Wildlife on the wetlands. This is a first step toward them receiving further entitlements from other agencies beyond the town of Hollywood.
Okay. have you stated exactly what we're supposed to be voting on? Would you just-
The application before you this evening is a plat map approval.
All right, commissioners, listen very carefully. Go ahead.
You have the option to approve. You have the option to approve with some conditions. You have the right to request a continuance to a date certain that falls within the 60-day period. You have the right to deny the project. Those are your options.
Commissioner, you have heard the options. What is your pleasure?
Excuse me, sir, can I just,
Go
can I
ahead.
just add something to that? So, just while you're walking through, so town ordinance, and I'm just gonna read this, and I'm not an attorney. If the plat is disapproved or approved conditionally, the reasons for disapproval or any conditions required shall be stated in writing. So it's gotta be a technical reason if there's any reason to.
That's correct.
So, and that's just from the town ordinance.
I said that earlier, that they have to have findings.
May I have one more technical question to you?
Sure.
It is my understanding, I think I heard it, that you're definitely going to put an east and west, a right and left turn lane in. You're definitely going to do that at some point. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. If somebody makes a motion to approve this tonight, are you open to speeding that turn lane process up to a number of homes in phase one instead of waiting till 207 homes are done? This is a big issue in the town.
So I understand that. I'm willing to circle back with the Department of Transportation in the study, but conditioning a plat map, I'm not sure that's, well, I'd have to defer to staff. I'm not even sure if that's allowable.
You can't place that as a condition.
I didn't hear you.
You are not permitted to permit that as a condition, because that is a technical review done by a separate state agency. If we want to accomplish what you want to accomplish, then my suggestion is that the town write to SCDOT and request that SCDOT require the turn lanes at the phase one process.
So it'd be up to the town to request it. Okay.
The developer can actually install those turning lanes whenever he wants to, once he has approval from DOT. I've done this. I used to do this for a living. So anytime we're doing a development before anybody moves in, especially the densely populated area,
If you want to,
we install those turning lanes first.
you can do it
Especially if you,
That's right.
yeah, you can do that.
No, understood. And I just want to just as another aside, you know, when we first came to you all, part of the reason to, Commissioner, to your comments about, you know, when reports or this or that, you know, our first step in the process is to get an approval. The second stage is getting design. But just to really take a big step back, when we first came before you, we were talking about the potential of 700 homes. We are at 274 homes now. Our project has changed significantly. So if we don't have all the answers, just realize how much our project has changed. But the one thing we can tell you, we're not rezoning this property before you. We're at 274 lots and working within town policies. So we've made a big change in our plans from when we saw you just a couple months ago.
You've been doing this a lot
Well-
longer than me.
I'll just put it out and see if they bite it. I'd like to make a motion that, or a motion that comes from the commissioner, that we postpone this due to the 4 new additional commissioner that is unfamiliar with the Longleaf property that has already been approved, so that we can have a special meeting and we can address some of the issues and concerns and bring the new commissioner up to par on exactly what has been approved, what needs to be approved, and so they can make fair decisions.
Mr. The 25th, I believe, of March.
So do we have a motion for that? Someone will have to make the motion.
I would like to make a motion that we not approve this on several technical reviews. One of the things we're charged with doing is making sure these preliminary plats adhere to all of our standards here in the town. And if you do not have your septic permits, if you haven't gone through that on those lots, you don't know whether they're going to be traditional septics or specialized septic systems. If they are specialized septic systems, the planning commission have to approve that, and even we can't approve that, only the mayor of the town, per our ordinance, can approve that. So that information is very pertinent to us because it doesn't comply with our ordinance right now. The other thing that doesn't comply is we're saying there are turning lanes and they're not even on the plat. And those are my two technical reviews for a reason for not plat.
I second it.
So I respectfully ask that, once again, that we're talking about the parcel map. And that is why we're here, is to talk about the parcel map. The septic, once again, we know we're gonna have to figure that out. Our charge is to work within the confines of that parcel map that we're with you. And if we need to go with, once again, if we need to go traditional, we're gonna go traditional. If we go with an engineered system, you're exactly right. It has to go through a waiver policy that has to go through the town. Turn lanes, we're gonna have to do, and we're gonna do it. Okay, well, as long as it meets the purview of tonight's meeting.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
The motion is on the floor that your recommendation, state your recommendation, please.
I recommend that we do not approve this and also recommend that we do not issue a continuance, because what we don't want to do is be up against 60 days and now we're rushing, trying to get this thing figured out. I think technically those turning lanes should have been on this plat. That's one of the reasons for us not to approve this. The second reason is there aren't enough sewer taps in the town of Hollywood. And so some of these lots will be on septic, and we need to know before we approve this whether those are going to be specialized septic systems.
71 will be septic.
I'm sorry?
71 lots.
Right, but we need to know whether they'll be a traditional septic system or specialized / engineered septic system. Again, we're tasked with making sure these stuff adheres to our ordinances, and this doesn't pass.
Second.
There you go.
It's been moved and second that we disapprove the preliminary plat. Thank you very much. Okay. Oh, sorry. Those who in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? May we have the roll call, please?
Commissioner Charles Lennon,
Here.
Commissioner Andy Reid,
Aye.
Commissioner Deborah Marshall White,
I must recuse myself from this vote for Longleaf Development due to a potential conflict of interest, as I own property that adjoins Longleaf. and I don't want to get my personal feelings involved, so I'm not going to vote.
Commissioner Trey Willis,
Yes.
Commissioner Steve Caboclo.
Me? What am I voting on?
The motion.
Yeah, I
The
know,
motion that
but it
was
is
put
the
forward.
motion. I mean, I
Not
just
to
really
approve.
can't hear tonight.
The motion on the table right now, Steve, is that we do not approve the plat based on not having turning lanes on 162. Supposedly, we have them somewhere. And then the second thing is it doesn't adhere to our town ordinance as far as whether there will be specialized septic systems or not. If they are specialized septic systems, then those 61 or whatever lots, how many ever lots they are, cannot be approved. And therefore, they should be deleted off of this plat.
Yes.
Chairman John Perla.
Yes. The motion carried. Thank you very much.
He didn't get the vote.
Oh, you didn't call his name?
Commissioner Tim Blackwater. Okay.
Okay. New business, site plan review, Baptist Hill High School athletic field improvements. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The item before you this evening are the site plan review for athletic field improvements at Baptist Hill High School. The project parcel is located on the campus of existing Baptist Hill Middle High School on 25.6 acre parcel located in the town of Hollywood in Charleston County, South Carolina. The parcel is bordered by Baptist Hill Road to the east, vacant woods, wooded lots and residential properties to the north, and vacant wooded parcels to the west and south. TMS number is 164-00-00268. The project proposes renovating the existing field house concession stand building, which is approximately 2,800 square feet, and constructing a new visitor field house, approximately 1,500 square feet, with a medical room and a referee room. In addition, the project will replace the press box in the stadium and make associated pavement and utility improvements to the site. There will be no new car parking, drop-off loops, or bus areas included in this project. There will be no increase in staff or employees. The item before you, you probably received a fairly extensive packet showing the improvements. I would like to invite the applicant up to present the project to you in their words, and then have the chairman open for public comments, and then for deliberation by the planning commission.
Where's the applicant?
Are the applicants here tonight?
It's not here.
Who is the applicant? Is it CCS?
Baptist Hill High School.
Right. Is CCSD presenting tonight?
We're supposed to.
Applicants not here?
Mr. Chairman, in the event that the applicant does not appear, your options are to commensurate amongst yourselves to approve the project, deny the project. My recommendation is that you continue this to your next meeting to allow the applicant to appear.
Any recommendation from the commissioners?
Yes.
Make a motion that we continue this until the next meeting and give the applicant time to present their project in front of us.
I second that motion.
Okay.
There is something, someone,
Oh.
you, what is your statement, sir?
Okay,
All
drive.
of them were like this,
It would be great.
it would be good.
I agree with him,
I make a motion that we approve it as it is.
but he already made a motion.
I'll second that.
Well, one motion's on the table now, so we either got to vote, we got to vote on that motion.
Yeah, let's vote on that motion. Yeah, that we,
Second, so we got to vote on that. If that doesn't pass, then we need to make another motion and we vote on it.
we vote on the motion that was heard first. Those who are in favor of disapproving the project?
No, issuing a continuance. We just want to issue a continuance.
Is that what you said?
Yeah, just issue a continuance to give them opportunity to present their project in front of us.
Okay.
And one question, what time frame we talking about for the
Next
continuance?
meeting,
So who's going to set up, who's going to be responsible to make sure the applicants are here?
Be on the agenda.
Okay, Mark.
Yes.
Okay.
is it firm engineering firm or something?
Yeah,
Yeah, they got a lot of information.
absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
It is. I believe any improvement of Baptist Hill is a welcoming for the community and for the school itself. I think it's well overdue.
I don't disagree, but I know that area to the left of that school is a low area, and I know that there's somebody trying to put a house over there now, but I want to make sure we're not approving something that's just going to impact them. CCSD, they can mitigate if such, but we need to.
They're just replacing existing
Yeah, I know.
that's there, so they're not making any additions.
Correct. Yeah, I know.
All right, let's, those who are in favor to do a continuance, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Nays. The nays have it. Now, the motion is on the floor for approval of the Baptist Hill project.
I second it.
Someone second it?
I did.
And moved and second that we accept the Baptist Hill project. Those who are in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any nays?
Nays.
The ayes have it. Call the roll, please.
Commissioner Charles Lennon,
Yes.
Commissioner Andy Reid,
Yes.
Commissioner Deborah Marshall White, Commissioner Tim Blackwell, Commissioner Trey Willis,
No.
Commissioner Steve Kaboka,
Yes.
Chairman Chairman John Prelude.
Yes. The motion's passed. Thank you very much. At this time, we have commissioners' time. Anything from our commissioners?
May I speak?
Sir.
In researching all the developments recently, I, with 100% certainty, that there was, in 2022, there were several parcels of land that the Planning Commission worked on and sent to the council. In January of 23, the then planner presented it to the council that they needed to vote on it. In June of 23, there was a first reading on it, but there was never any more first readings or a second reading or a vote. So I think that when the moratorium, if it goes into effect, that the commission needs to look at that and make sure that it's brought forward to the council properly and voted again. That's all I have to say.
Again, good evening. One of the things that I want to say is that we got some development going on in the town of Hollywood that nobody knows anything about. On the left, as you're going toward the caution light on 162, there has been continually developing activities going on there. And I asked the question, and no one seems to know anything about what's going there, and how many acres being developed, and how long they're going to take to do what they're doing there. So just before you get to the caution light, about 800 yards before you get to the caution light on 162. So somebody needs to know what's going on. And the reason why I asked the question, because I've been here, I think, over a year, going on 2, I believe, and it didn't go through when I was here. So, and maybe it went through before, I don't know. But they cut out all the trees, the pond, contention pond is there, ice machine is already on the premises. So we need to know as residents, and I'm on the planning and zoning, I don't know.
The other thing, I know exactly, there's some dump trucks parked there now.
6 of them.
One thing that sticks out to me, they've done all that grading, but no grassing has been done whatsoever on that site. That site should have been stabilized.
Yeah.
Any other comments?
Planner, could you get us some information on what's going on that site?
Yeah, if I can get a TMS number from somebody, I can look it up.
Is that the ice machine?
It's before you get to the flashing light. It's on the left. And you just have about 6 dump trucks and a few other equipment out there.
7-1.
You have a contention pond.
Report back at the next meeting.
It's a big operation. I wouldn't be surprised.
I don't want something legal, so we have the moratorium, let's clear it up and resubmit it. You know what I mean?
While he's looking that up, is there any other more comments? Okay.
No,
Oh.
he has, I gave it to him.
Okay, great. All right. Okay. You have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion that we adjourn the meeting.
Second. Thank you very much. Good night.
You got to call roll.
No, we don't call no roll.
Yeah, no, somebody does.
6, 26, 23. That big map, somebody put on there, town council approved this 6, 26, 23, and then they said 6, 28, but they never approved it. All I'm saying is somebody made a mistake.
Oh, you know what? Remind me to, we need a co-chair in the event I'm not here.